Good evening, everybody. Hello. It's me again, Siriguejo from Capoeira Social Project, coming at you with our last live from part one. But we'll be back in a couple weeks with the second part. But I shouldn't be counting my chickens yet, because tonight we're going to go round two with Pedro, contra Mestre Pedro Campolina. We've already tested to make sure that internet will work today. Okay. So he's coming in and he's ready to go. So we're going to be talking to him, another Belo Horizonte person, to round out our first part of the series. Oh, here we go. Boom.
Yeah.
Good evening, Pedro.
Good evening, Siriguejo.
How you doing tonight, mate?
I'm all right. And yourself? You okay?
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you for being here. Okay. So before we get started, actually, I don't know. I went through this. I've done this once already. so I'm super prepared. Anyway, so thank you for being here. You're the last one of part one of the series, our Capoeira conversations of people who've really influenced and helped give the inspiration to the performing and visual arts programs that my nonprofit Capoeira Social Project is hoping to really get going in the first, hopefully what we have is the first semester. Our semesters in school start in August, right? So that will be semester one for the next school year. So hopefully we'll get going. But before we get to talking about all that stuff, I don't know. Do you want to introduce yourself? I don't know why I haven't done that yet. I've had not one person really come in and like introduce themselves. I just assume everybody knows who my guests are.
Okay, Siri. So first of all, thanks for having me with you. My name is Pedro. I'm a capoeirista, angoleiro. I'm a percussionist and luthier. I make instruments, and I love the popular culture, and special the one with African and native Brazilian roots. So that's what I love doing, and that's what I love teaching, and that's a big part of my life. So I'm glad to be able to be here talking about capoeira and some other things that I love. Obrigado. Thank you for the opportunity.
De nada. Thank you for being here. Yeah, that's a fun word for I think we call it luthier. It's the same word. I think it's
luthier,
right? I think it's a French word. It sounds very French.
So basically, the guy who makes instruments.
Yes.
Refurbish and make it.
So okay, you said something great in there, right? I know you obviously through capoeira, and actually also through percussion as well. And I've kind of started off each of these by talking with each participant about how they got into, or how they started capoeira, or why. Because you just said you're angolero, but I know just like our last guest, Mestre Ferradura, who's now Angola, he started off in Senzala as which is a contemporary regional group. Just curious if you could tell us a little bit about how you started capoeira, because I've told people, for me, it started because of punk rock and hardcore dancing in my region. Has the Awu, has Meia Lua, has Armada, Queixada, all this kind of stuff going on while heavy music's playing. So when I saw capoeira for the first time, I was like, wow, they're doing spin kicks to music. I do spin kicks to music. I got to check this out. So just kind of curious as to what brought you into the...
Man, as a kid, I loved to trying all sort of sports. Yeah, I used to play football, handball, basketball, and swimming, and like many things. I would love practicing sports. So at first, I saw capoeira in a birthday party, my mate's birthday party, and I was like amazed by that. So, wow, what's that, man? And people jumping there and all of that with live music. So that really got into me. I couldn't understand what was going on, but I loved that thing. I was about 10 or 11 year old. And then my brother, my younger brother, he was like 7, 8, and he started playing capoeira before me. I was doing something else, I don't remember. And then he started capoeira, and I was amazed watching what he was doing at home. And that was Ginga. Today, the group from Mestre Agostinho. At that time, was Mestre Macaco's group. And then my brother would go and do ponche and go there and turn here and jumping and like starting playing lots of music. And I said, I have to start this thing. But I was quite shy. I don't know why, because I was like, I would do anything. I was not a shy person. But to start capoeira, I don't know. There was something on my way. But then there was my brother's birthday, and we had a roda at home. He invited people from capoeira. He was like 9-year-old or something like that. And came lots of people from the academy, from the school. Okay. And at some point, I don't remember who was conducting the roda. I think it was, actually, I don't remember, man. There was lots of teachers at Ginga. And at some point, one of them said, hey, now the roda is open to everyone. So even if you haven't played capoeira before, and if you want to try it out, now it's your time. And then I just jumped into the roda and like played, and I loved it. And then I couldn't live without it anymore. So I was in Ginga school, and then I started training with Serginho. Today he's not in capoeira anymore. But then Mestre Zé Paulo, who was part of Ginga, he started Raízes, and Raiz was near my school. Then I started training with Zé Paulo, and it was a really good experience. I remember you asking me the last time we started the series with me, but we had to stop because of the technical problems. But you asked me about the work at the community, vivencias nearby. And that experience for me with Mestre Zé Paulo back there was incredible, because in school, you would learn lots of prejudice, like racism and homophobia, and all of kind of the stuff was normal in school. And then suddenly I started playing capoeira with people from favela, from the ghetto, and that changed my mind a lot. Mm. So in the school, like people would say there that those guys are just the guys who are going to steal your bag, your hat and stuff. So at first, as a kid, I would be scared of the guys. But suddenly, I was playing capoeira with people from the favelas and black people and like all sorts of people, and that started opening my mind and my heart. So that experience from Mestre Zé Paulo really was something that changed my life. And that's the reason, I guess, all capoeiristas, everybody who works with capoeira, if they have the opportunity, they should try doing capoeira for people who cannot pay for that. And actually, they are the people who deserve capoeira the most, I would say, because it's a resistance culture, come from black people, from African people, and they have to have the opportunity. Capoeira is not only for those who can pay for the class. So that motivated me to do the class there. But that school back there from Mestre Zé Paulo, that was like really important for my life, for my capoeira life and all of that.
And then was it when you went to Europe that you kind of migrated more towards the Angola side of things?
Man, in all schools I practiced capoeira here. Well, I started in Ginga and then Raízes, and then I played a little bit in Capoeira Gerais with Mestre Antônio Dias, and then a little bit with Fofo. At that time, he was Companhia Pernas Pro Ar. Now he's Abadá Capoeira. But I trained with those guys, and all of them would do like a part of the training destinated to Capoeira Regional and the other part to Capoeira Angola. Most of the Angoleiros like saying that, no, this is not Angola. When you do Capoeira Angola in a contemporary school, it's not proper Angola. But that started giving me some basic movements for Capoeira Angola, which is like the roots of Capoeira, the old Capoeira. But I didn't have an idea of how Capoeira Angola Roda would be. And in 2003, in Porto Alegre, south of Brazil, there was a World Social Forum. I went there, and there was a roda. And I was playing capoeira for a long time. I had been playing for a long time. But that roda was actually, well, man, what those guys are doing. Like, they're playing like animals and going a lot, very expressive. And then I said, there's something to this different from what I trained before. So I got back to Belo Horizonte. I was planning to go to London. It was like January 2003, and in August I was gonna move to the UK. And then at that point I said, man, I have to train Capoeira Angola. I wasn't trained at any group, just going to rodas and stuff. And when I got back to Belo Horizonte, I had heard about Mestre João. I knew he was like a big reference of Capoeira Angola. But there was no internet. And like nowadays, if you Google it, you can find most of the capoeiristas, the capoeira masters and teachers. But at that time, no. So somebody told me that it was in Rua da Bahia Street. And I walked the whole Rua da Bahia, man. I said, do you know where's the capoeira school, Mestre João? Do you know the capoeira school? Everybody, no. And then I gave up finding him at that time. And then there was a roda, I think, in the Praça de Santa Tereza, Duque de Caxias. I think it was... Man, if I'm not wrong, it was Oficina da Capoeira. Really strong guys in the roda and played really fast. And then I watched a little bit, and then I talked to someone. Don't remember if it was Mestre High. I don't remember who I talked with. And I asked, hey, do you know where there is a Capoeira Angola school nearby? They said, hey, there is Angola Dobrada. At that time, I was in Floresta area. And then I went there, and I did my first classes with Mestre Índio, Mestre Negão. At that point, Negão wasn't Mestre. And also, if Alcione, no. I was more Mestre Índio and Mestre Negão. But then I moved to London. I wasn't part of the group, but it was really welcome. Well, I felt welcome there. They received me really well. But I didn't join the group properly because I knew I was moving to the UK. But was really nice starting for me, like playing just Angola. And then when I arrived to the UK, I didn't find any Angoleiro at that time. There was, but I didn't find. And then I met Mestre Pastel, a street capoeira from Mercado Modelo, Salvador.
Okay.
I really liked that guy, and his capoeiras are really like unpredictable. At the same time, he's up there, and then he's down. And I liked his game, and his class were different from everything I have done. Like really, even for playing side plays like gyms and school, university, and cultural center and stuff. But his style is pure streetman. And then I liked it, and he learned from many mestres in Salvador Street, but mainly from Mestre Macumba. And later on, I met Mestre Macumba. He's really old school capoeira, man. He doesn't call himself Angoleiro, Macumba, but he's like old school. It's a different type of capoeira too. And then I started teaching capoeira in Raízes de Rua, which was Mestre Pastel's school. And I started teaching at Brunel University. Was kind of like quite far from the center. And then I started teaching with Pastel, but he was teaching many other universities and stuff. So I said, hey, Pedro, take that class and you start teaching there. And I loved it because it was like my first experience teaching by myself, and I felt welcome there from the students. And then I started my teaching in capoeira. But at some point, Pastel was moving to France to France. And I was teaching all of my class. I was teaching other places too. I started teaching at London School of Economics. And then I was doing my class and pastel class, kids, adults, and community centers and gym and all of that. I was doing 14 class a week.
Okay.
And then at some point, I didn't want to teach more like pernadas, high kicks, fast kicks. Even if I like it, I like the game. I'm not this kind of Angoleiro who has no, only Angola is a good capoeira. No, man. All sort of capoeira are nice in different ways and different stuff, but I appreciate what people do, like jumping and do stuff. I wanted to do that, but I can't. I did a little bit when I was younger. Now I can't anymore, but I appreciate it too. But the most important for me is when people play together. Even Angola, regional, contemporary, street, capoeira, whatever, if they play a respectful game with each other, not one guy do a thing on the side, the other guy, no. But if there is game, there is a conversation, the dialogue, I love it. But at that point, I didn't want to teach more this style of capoeira. And I spoke to Pastel, say, hey, Mestre, are you coming back? What's happening and stuff? And I realized that he would stay in France. Then I talked to him about my desire. Is it desire? My desire of going deeply in Capoeira Angola. And I was teaching only Capoeira Angola. I was training Angola, teaching Angola, but my students liked it. But Pastel's students, they were used to doing both things, like playing high, playing low and fast and slow, Angola, regional. And then they didn't want to train only Capoeira Angola. And then I spoke to Pastel, we arranged, and he asked someone else to take the class. At that point, I joined Mar Azul, which was another big school for me, Mestre Joãozinho da Figueira. I stayed 1 year training with Joãozinho and having my own class, but he would go to my class to give some assistance and then to play with everybody. I would go to his one. Was a really nice guy. He called me his adoptive, I don't know if that's the word, adoptive son.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. He said it was his adopted son in London. And in a way I was, because like he would be in my house all the time and help me with house stuff. I would go to his house. We would go to the park to train together. We did lots of class, like social projects and like class we traveled together. It was a great experience. And then I started training with Pacheco, seu Pacheco. I met him through Coco, Coco de Roda, and like what I started playing with him. I did one gig with him, and then we made a Coco group together, and like I trained capoeira with him and trained with Joãozinho. At that point, I started my own school, motivated by them, called Aprendendo Angola, the one you know very well, because we have the pleasure to have you with us, here. So that's a little bit of my history in capoeira. And I came back to Belo Horizonte in 2012 and started teaching the class here at home, back garden, and I love it. I spoke quite a lot.
I was not quite expecting that. I mean, I already knew like that part of the story, right? That you just told me. Now the world knows. You can't take it back. So I guess I don't know. It sounded like by the time, because in 2003 I had not started official Brazilian capoeira yet. When I would leave training, and I say Brazilian capoeira because when I started, I was living in Baltimore. I ended up moving to Baltimore because I was driving there often. That was like the closest place at the time to where I was living that had capoeira. And so then, and actually I was working in DC, which actually did have capoeira at the time, but I was not aware of it, and it wasn't near where I worked, so it was a lot easier to drive to another city, actually. But it was hard to find, right? And then when I started training for a year in 2005. And then in 2006, my teacher moved to California. So I had to either like stop training contemporary capoeira because FICA was the only other group around for Capoeira Angola. And at the time I was really unfamiliar with it. Or I could continue, I could start teaching. So I started teaching capoeira with only like 1 year of American experience and then 4 months in Brazil. But after all of my classes, a lot of the classes, when I was living in Baltimore, I would go to like 3 or 4 punk rock hardcore shows a week. So I would do American capoeira, like, you know, spin kicks and awus to guys screaming on stage. But at this time, there were so few capoeira schools. I mean, there's still not that many today, but it has grown so much since 2005. I mean, it's what, 16 years now? Wow. So before, we always had to like to do an event or to have a roda, right? I mean, we'd only had, I think the maximum we had at one point was like 12 students. But you can have a nice roda with 12 students, but not if they're all beginners and only one person knows how to play the berimbau and one person knows how to play all the instruments and 11 people know how to play nothing. So there was always a social aspect to it. Like, even though groups that didn't get along here in Brazil, because a lot of the teachers in the East Coast of the United States are from Minas. A lot of the groups are from Belo Horizonte or Governadores Valadares, right? A lot of different cities here. And there's, you know, bad blood sometimes. But in the United States, there was no way to keep that tradition alive, right? Because we didn't have enough people to really fight each other. So there was a very social aspect to having a roda. Be like, oh, hey, we want to have a roda on Friday. Can you guys make it? Oh, no, how about Saturday? Okay, cool. We'll do it on Saturday. So then your 12 and my 12 would get together and you'd have 20 and enough people to actually play a berimbau. So I was kind of curious if capoeira was already, but from what you say, it seems like it was already bigger and sustainable for a group. If you were teaching 14 classes a week, it seemed like there were enough students.
But like this 14 class a week was like around 2000. I started teaching 2004, more or less. And then 2007, I started my school. In 2006, maybe I was doing those my class and pastels class. But I got a period of transition in the London capoeira. The one I'm more I can say more about the capoeira in London. Now there are many groups there, many schools, all styles and stuff. But when I got there, they were starting to be like more by themselves because the groups were getting bigger. And as you said, more people playing the instruments. And at that point, there was many capoeira shows. The capoeiristas would have the shows as a way of making a living too. Sometimes only the class were not enough, but people would work with something else and stuff. But before this performance, I remember some names here that would be together. Mestre Pastel, from Raiz de Rua, Poncianinho, Cordão de Ouro. Now he's a master, he has his own school. Pedreiro from Bahia, he comes from Curió. Joãozinho Pedreiro, Pastel. Mestre Axé comes from Mestre No, Angola Palmares.
Okay.
And another few guys. And they Caboclinho, Capoeira Ceará. Later on, he became Cordão de Ouro, but I don't know if he's still or not. But all of those guys, they were together and doing performance together and doing street rodas, like busking, doing rodas just to play capoeira, but sometimes to pass the pandeiro and get some money out of that too. But I did a few gigs with them. I took part in a couple of rodas, but then as it started getting bigger, and then started lots of batizados and workshops, and the masters come from one place to another. So I got this time, but they were still friends, but I would say like they didn't need each other as before. So it would be easy for a master or for a teacher to do a performance with their own students, and like
Right.
they would get the whole money or something like that, then sharing with
Right.
many guys. But I was lucky because Pastel was a friend with everybody, so he introduced me to all of the capoeiristas, and like I was starting teaching capoeira, but I felt really welcoming too. I would go to people's roda, they would come to my roda, and got to a point that, and then later on, as a angoleiro, I would have my rodas. Mestre Carlão, Mestre Pedreiro, Mestre Polaco, Mestre Joãozinho, Marcelo Angola is a big influence in my capoeira too, because he did many workshops there, and like we did many things together and traveled together, and the other Angoleiros do Mar, like Fubuia, Chinchar, Guaxinim, all of those guys would come a lot to London and we would change experience. It was great for me. And I miss it a little bit here in Belo Horizonte, because there we would go to each other's rodas, we would be together. Like the community was really strong at that point, because if it was my birthday, my family would be the capoeira guys, and someone else from the group would celebrate something. Everybody was there. Like my gigs, my music gigs, most of the public, my guests were from capoeira. So there was something really strong, because we were away from our families, so
Right.
we had this friendship really strong.
Nice. I myself try to avoid most of the gringos here in Belo Horizonte, but I understand what you're talking about. So it sounds like I guess capoeira is pretty well received. I mean, I was able to about 2 years ago. I was in Italy for about 10 or so days with my wife and my parents, and I was like, I really want to train capoeira at least one day while I'm in Europe. So we all walked across Rome after like doing a bunch of sightseeing all day long. We're like, let's walk 5 more kilometers to see some more stuff along the way to go train with Mestre Aranha, who's in Rome. So I trained some Angola while I was there. So I know it exists, and it sounds like it's well received.
Yeah, man, it is. I think the fashion time, let's say, like in Portuguese, the moda has
When
passed.
trendy. It was like trendy.
Yeah, it's not trendy anymore.
Okay.
It was like capoeira everywhere, the groups busy, full of people. Now, of course, there are big groups and like some popular ones and stuff, but it's like, how can I say, it's solid. That is, capoeira in Europe is solid and people love it. And the ones who are just like, I want to see it and stuff, it's a trendy now, I'm going to do it. Okay. But there are people who love capoeira and come to Brazil because of that and learn Portuguese and research capoeira. So this is some really nice thing about that. And and the capoeiras help each other. This is a really nice thing. Wherever you go, if you look for the capoeiristas, might be the style you like the most or not, people that you have more connection or not. But if you get alone somewhere and you find the capoeiristas, some direction you're gonna get from there. You're gonna know whether there is some nice party, or whether it's gonna be a roda, or people will welcome. In 2004, I had just arrived there, and I had a girlfriend, a British girlfriend, that after she was my wife and stuff, a really good friend nowadays. And we went to Amsterdam. It was my first trip in Europe. And then she said, "Oh, I'm going to stay there." We didn't have much money and stuff. And then I tried to find who were the capoeiristas there. And then I found Mestre Marreta from Montes Claros, where my father comes from. And I haven't met Marreta before, but I wrote to him, say, hey, Mestre, I'm Pedro, I'm capoeirista from Belo Horizonte, live in London and stuff, and I'm planning to go next week or next month, I don't remember, to Amsterdam. Do you know any nice place to stay? Can you recommend a hostel or something? Said, yeah, I know a nice place to stay. My house, this is my address, you can come.
Right.
And then I went to his class, and then he was traveling. He left, man. I had just met the guy. Of course, he trusted us, but he said, man, I'll have to go away for 2 days, and here are the keys. Make yourself at home. And this is brilliant, man.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I really love, having been in the community for as long now, knowing that you can go almost anywhere. And if you go there and you find capoeira, you'll definitely, have some people to go out with, or a place to stay, or at least a couch or a floor to sleep on. And that's the thing too. We're so used to that we're used to sleeping on floors. So if anybody's like, hey, here's a couch, we're like, woo, it's like a 5-star hotel.
Man, I remember as a kid, because Mestre Zé Paulo, he joined my second school, but he was my first master, Zé Paulo, and he joined Cordão de Ouro for a while. And there was a batizado, Cordão de Ouro batizado in São Paulo, and I was a kid, man. I was like 12 or something. My brother 8, 9. And we went there, everybody staying at Cordão de Ouro Academy and sleeping on mattresses on the floor and stuff. It was like my first trip without parents, and like full of adults everywhere. And I don't know, I was amazed by that, man. We went to Mestre Suassuna's cottage and stuff, and like was really marked me that trip. I remember that as it was yesterday,
So we've been it's been about a half an hour, so we're gonna switch topics real quick to get to some other stuff, or we'll be here till like 10 o'clock. So I don't know how much of the first live with you were able to catch, but I brought along some American culture. I was just curious if you're familiar with Zydeco music.
I don't know that.
Okay.
I know it's writing here Zydeco now. I was thinking Siriguejo changed his name.
So this was it's a genre of music from New Orleans, okay, and it's from the mixing of Africans and French. A lot of it's in French Creole, but you'll see why I like it here in a second. Because
man, that's
so they use a washboard, a metal instrument for cleaning clothes, right? It's for just like we have in the tanki cue.
Yeah.
But it's made of metal, so they'll play it with like spoons. And they asked, hey, does anybody want? Yeah, exactly. Does anybody want to play that? And I was like, no, I don't want to play that. I'd like to play the triangle though. And they're like, the triangle, really? And I was like, yeah, I learned how to play in Brazil. And they're like, okay, Mr. Brazil, come on up and play. So Eloisa thought she was filming, but she only took a picture because I was like, oh, this could be great. Because and nowadays, if there's anybody finds, there's like a couple like memes and then some clips of people playing triangle in an orchestra, or like, I don't know, anything with like somebody playing a triangle, it will get passed around for like a week on Facebook, and like 10 people always tag me in it. They're like, hey, always. So my first experience with what we call lots of times a squeeze box, right? But the accordion, or sanfona for Brazilians out there. And then the triangle was always in Zydeco music, which is what really, once I heard you all, I remember when you first started to try to teach Samba de Coco classes, you started off with pandeiro. And for me at the time, it was like I was trying to play an instrument with my feet. I just couldn't get it, and I didn't know what the sound was supposed to be. So it didn't really attract me so much as when Coco da Gente or oh man, your brother, and there's a Ricardo Maia as well who are
nice. Hello, Zé
commented
Campolina and Ricardo Maia Boné, Mr. Hat.
So
abraço pra vocês, big hug.
That the sanfono is what really made me, or the accordion really drew me to forró. And then the zabumba too. It gets that kind of funky, almost like hip hop kind of beat when you really get the heavy bass and then the good slap with the codfish, with the bacalhau. Really got me into forró, and then learning the connection between that and then Samba de Coco and also with the alfaia really drew me. I talked with Amarello about this. I'm really more interested in and invested into Samba de Coco than Samba de Roda, because of the triangle and the alfaia. But how did that come about? Was that with Mestre Pacheco in Europe?
Mestre Pacheco. First of all, I would like to say that the Zydeco, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
The Zydeco, man, there is lots of similarity with forró.
Uh-huh.
The accordion, and then the violin doing like a rabeca, and the rhythm like pra frente, like a fast and energetic rhythm. I really liked it. I'll search more for that afterwards. But yeah, Coco, I played Coco in pandeiro, but I had no idea what it was. Okay, this is Coco. But I hadn't seen any roda de coco or any video or anything. I just knew that in pandeiro that was that way. And this British guy, really into Brazilian culture, called Sam, called me one day. Hey Pedro, do you play coco on pandeiro? I said, yeah, I do. And I thought, I think that's the stuff. If it's not it, when I get to the rehearsal, they tell me what to do, and I find my way, because I was quite comfortable improvising with pandeiro. And then I went to this rehearsal and got there. There was Mestre Pacheco, Lucas, who is the Geraldo Azevedo's son, the Samuel, and I don't remember who else. I think it was, I don't remember if it was Mestre Joãozinho wasn't there. Well, it was Pacheco, Samuel, and Lucas. And I went to play the pandeiro. When we started rehearsing, and that was like a punch. Wow, what's that, man? This is so strong. But yeah, I liked it. Then the rehearsal I really enjoyed. But the gig was in Manchester, and I was lucky to sit by Mestre Pacheco in the van. And Pacheco was talking capoeira Angola, coco de roda, capoeira, and telling me stories of capoeira in Pernambuco and talking about coco and stuff. And I thought, wow, man! And I just realized how much that guy knew. And then when you got there, there was a maracatu, lots and lots of drums playing. And after that, coco. Few people playing, but nobody stopped dancing, man. And nobody knew coco. Maracatu was already there, like few people from other places knew maracatu, but coco, I think, was just starting. People starting, what's that? Coco, okay, something new. But the strength of that really got me. And then when we got back to London, Pacheco invited me to join a group called Vozes dos Tambores, like the drums voice. And they played coco and like Congo, which the Congo é o maculelê rhythm, tac, tac, they would play ciranda,
Okay.
ijexá, and then I loved that band because I was playing forró already, I played samba, but I didn't have any band like focused in like percussion, only a percussive band, and that one was really nice, lasted for a while, and then we wanted to do a Coco group. Pacheco had one called Coco do Reino, but he wasn't so excited, and then he invited me to do a new group, and we did Pé de Jurema with Pacheco, myself, Alba, and Otto. Then the same thing that happened to me as a kid when I got into capoeira and said I can't live without it. The same thing happened with Coco. And then I started going to, all the time I came to Brazil, I went to the Northeast, especially Olinda, to get to know the masters and, like, as we say in Portuguese, beber na fonte. Do you have similar expression, to drink water in the fountain?
Yeah, I think we usually say the spring, but like a fonte natural, right? A fonte natural we call a spring. To drink from the fountain, but we would say to drink from the spring. So real quick, because I through training with you and then the bloco you created, it hit me the same. So I ended up going to Olinda, right, a couple years ago. Well, it seems like last year because last year was a wash, but this was the only clip I took. I went to Amaro Branco, right? Mestre Pacheco and Mestre Arnaldo. They said, "Hey, tonight there's the Coco do Amaro Branco," and so I just went and I stopped dancing for just long enough to take this video. That was it. That's the only thing I took.
Nice one.
Kept dancing and talking to the people that were there. Because there's a lot of people doing capoeira, or they're familiar with samba reggae, maracatu. The song, like I don't really know the way to call this, like the samba blocos from Rio, right? That style of, and those metal instruments. There's all that's
I think you can say samba enredo.
Samba enredo?
Enredo,
Carnaval samba. All that's known, and of course maculelê, samba de roda is always inside of capoeira schools. But samba de coco, there's like nobody that knows it, and so I had to show the clip there to talk about samba de coco. Do you know who those ladies were, by the way?
Man, I'm watching from my
you're on your phone.
And it's really little here, but I think it was Ana Lucia.
Yes, one of them is Ana Lucia.
With long hair, Ana Lucia. The other ones I couldn't recognize, but I've been to her house with Amarelo, we visited Ana Lucia. And one thing, man, Samba de Coco, some people say that's the specific coco from Arco Verde, Samba de Coco de Arco Verde. The general things like coco de roda are only coco. Because I think Samba de Coco refers to that specific type. And then we do, as we study coco generally, so like coco de Olinda, Samba de Coco de Arco Verde, coco ou pagode alagoano. But and this thing you said, that people are starting to get to know coco now, I think this is a moment, now no, because nobody can travel anywhere properly. But the last few years, the last few trips I've done to London, Portugal, and Canada, I felt that people are starting to know more about coco. In London, many people knew because of Pé de Jurema and Pacheco and Coco do Reino and tal. But in other places, it's starting to get popular because capoeira people like coco. Forró people like coco. Maracatu people like coco. So I think it's starting we played, for example, we played at Pé na Terra festival. I'm trying to remember the year. I think it was 2016 and 2017. There was a phenomenon there that everybody wants to dance forró with every single rhythm. So play maracatu, everybody's dancing forró. Playing samba,
Okay.
forró, anything forró. But when we played Coco, I was so surprised that people actually dancing Coco, man. That touched me in a very nice way. In Toronto, many people there know Coco from Chocolate, who is a capoeira master and a coquista as well, Pacheco's friend.
Okay.
Contra Mestre Sapo, they both are from Olinda and great people and great artists and capoeiristas. And there are other people like Aline from here, from Belo Horizonte. She plays Coco, and Mari, Alex, who is a Canadian guy but really into Brazilian culture. All of those people, they know Coco already. They teach a little bit to their students, but it was a good changing with them, good exchange with them when I had the opportunity to teach Coco there. So I think this, as soon as this pandemic crazy stuff quit, Coco will start to travel again. Not only Coco da gente.
There was a Carlinhos Cardoso. Your brother made a comment.
Carlinhos Cardoso, what did he say?
Galera de Coco de Toronto.
Massa. Carlinhos Cardoso. Quem mais? My brother, he sings some cocos. He hasn't joined any coco group, but always when we played gigs together, and actually when I met you, I was playing a gig with my brother.
Right.
We always play one or two cocos, and he likes it. He likes more complicated music, more like with lots of chords and stuff. And how more difficult it is, he likes it better. But he's a capoeira too. Even he's been stopped for a long time, but he is always going to be a capoeirista. And I started because of him, and I started playing music professionally, influenced by him. And we always played Coco. And there, when I played Coco with Chocolate and Sapo and Mari, my brother joined and I forgot the past of sang. He sang some cocos.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. You know what? Actually, since we're still on the topic of Coco, let me see if I can figure out this technology here, Pedro. I'm going to try it and see if it will work. Okay. So bear with me 1 second. Chrome tab. Boom. Okay. I can do it. Oh, I got to jump back over here, though, and unmute it. Oh, my goodness.
Haha. Amarelo, Alicinha, Daniel, myself.
So I'll let this play just to the side here with the sound turned down. I really like the video because it's shot in so many different places in the city in Belo Horizonte, and I like the next topic I wanted to talk about was just in the scene. So what was this like? I know there's 2 or 3 music videos that you were able to record. Like, don't want to say that everything from the pandemic has been negative, because there has been some real positive things that have come out of it. And I think the Edital, the grants and things that came around for people to produce CDs or to put out video clips and things like this have been opportunities that I don't think would have necessarily have come without needing to rethink a little bit outside the box. So how was it for you guys to come up with these music videos and to produce them?
Man, the music videos, they were an adaptation of a project we had called Descentra Cultura. Descentra is actually like to take things only from the center, yeah? So the idea was to do workshops and gigs and rodas de coco and capoeira, like in the peripheric place, like far from the center, like in Barreiro, São Geraldo, if I'm not wrong, and also Vila Dias. But as we hadn't done the complete the project, and we had to stop because of the pandemic, so we had to adapt, and what would be the gigs became video clips, and what would be the workshops became video classes. So that's the reason we had this. We had the songs recorded already in 2016, and I don't know why we haven't released the album yet, and I don't know, maybe we're waiting for the right time. And then now we are doing that. We released 3 singles with the video clips. So we have this one that we're showing that's called Segura o Pandeiro. It's a song I wrote, I composed. It's an original song that tells a little bit of Coco da Gente history. And you mentioned that you like this video because it's in some different place in Belo Horizonte, and 2 of these places, Bar do Orlando and Vila Dias, are really special place to us because Coco da Gente started here in my house, and also Bar do Orlando simultaneously. We play some Coco there, some Coco here, and when you saw, the group was born.
So we're almost professional with this production stuff here, Pedro, because that's the next thing I wanted to talk about. I really should have put an S here. Hold on. Rodas, right? Rodas do Orlando, because that was, I guess, one of the first times I really saw Coco, because you came in 2012. I think you just had started trying to teach people Coco in like 2013, 14. In the beginning after Carnaval of 2014 is when I went back to the States to visit my family, and your lovely federal police said I couldn't come back for like 9 months because I had overstayed my visa. So by the time I came back again in like 2016, your classes and the bloco had formed, and you had Coco da Gente as like a real. And actually, at this time, I could even be mixing it up. This had already taken its course, but I remember going to the Roda, right? Roda Capoeira at Bar do Orlando. And then afterwards was followed up by a Roda de Coco.
Yeah, as I said before, I couldn't stay without Coco. And there was no Coco groups here when I came back. Before there was, and like coincidentally, I had the CD in my hands, Coco Ricuri. It's a Coco group that happened. Let me see if there is the date of this recording here somewhere. But this is an old Coco group in Belo Horizonte. I haven't seen because I didn't know about them. And when I came back, there was no Coco, no Roda de Coco, nada. And I started teaching capoeira here, and then we started doing the rodas at Largo do Orlando, it's nearby. And after the rodas, I said, no, man, most of the rodas that is Samba de Roda straight after. But here I think we should do Coco. And then I started playing some Coco and started taking the drums. And Fabricia knew already a little bit of, she had a bit of experience in Coco. Amarelo was starting to get to know Coco, but he has really good ears and like he feels the music and stuff. So come here, Amarelo. Do you want to learn how to play the atabaque in Coco? very quickly he got it, and then I was singing lots of cocos. My whole repertoire that wasn't long, but then from Amarelo, it's your turn, sing some coco. I don't know any coco. Then I improvised. Ei, tum, 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 olha a pisada de lampião. And then he knew the song from Capoeira, and he started sing. And then next roda, he had 2 or 3 cocos to sing, and then a little bit more. And when we saw, we had the group, Amarelo, Fabrícia, and Flor. And then we played with a gig at Maurício Tizumba's space, Tambor Mineiro, and then Maurício Tizumba joined us unexpectedly. And we are lucky that our mate Bruno Figueiredo was recording that coco.
Okay.
And then we had like a video with Maurício Tizumba, which was a really nice video. And yeah, so slowly we started conquering the city and like playing coco there and here, and more people enjoying it. And we never became huge, and that's not the idea as well. I don't think we need, and I don't think we're gonna be coco da gente, and pop. I don't think that's the idea to become pop. But with people know and respect us and like playing coco with us and come to the rodas and the block. The Carnaval block is tiny, but it's really welcoming. So this is the most important thing. Everybody happy, everybody playing and joking with each other, and leaving the rodas de coco is smiling and wanting more. That's making me happy, and that's feed my heart and my soul.
Yeah, man. I mean, that was, I think, the biggest. Actually, last year we had it. That was the highlight of 2020. Was the fact that Carnaval happened, and then it was the pandemic. So that was like the biggest downside. I think for me, was not having Carnaval, simply because of being able to play in the blocko, because it is such a laid back blocko. You know, it's in a very authentic area as well for the musical style. I think from the history of Coco, being down near Vivencias, and it's just so friendly, so familiar. There's never any, like, if you go to a blocko in the center of the city, there's always fights or trash or chaos, and the block de Coco de Gente is always just pure joy, really.
And peaceful,
exactly, yeah. You know, so without that, it was just, there was a little less joy this year so far, you know. So with that in mind, I'm going to show another little clip you might have seen before the last time, and then to talk about Vivencias.
Tá de máximo aqui então, hein?
So I showed this clip too during Amarelo's talk, simply because at the very end it's very Amarelo. When, you know, when you said we'd never be a pop band, you know, you'd never be a pop band because Amarelo's in it, and that's not his thing. So there's that very like, no, pop music, rah, that roughness, but then also that just huge smile and like laugh that he always has, right? So this is you guys playing down, and I know that this is that community center. There's a community center. In that region, when this was like a Children's Day event, and you were playing musical chairs with this this fast rhythm, right? I'm sure that's another downfall for the pandemic, not being able to go down there and work with the kids. But how did that come about? You being able to work with this community that lives in Santa Tereza.
Man, I always had the idea of teaching capoeira and percussion, things like for everybody. And nobody has. I don't want money to be a limit for people being able to train with me or not. And I really dream about the time that everybody will have access to what they want. If you want to study, like whatever you want to study and learn, I think you must be able to. That's our right as a human beings. So that experience I told you, like from when I was a kid and seeing Mestre Paulo putting people like middle class with people from the favelas, white people with black people, and men with women, everybody together, that transformed me, that changed me. Was nice for me as a kid to see that. So I always had this idea. With Mestre Joãozinho, with Mestre Pacheco, Pastel, in London, we did lots of stuff like that, teaching people like I don't know the proper way of the political, the correct, but people with disabilities. We would teach them doing projects with that, and the ghettos as well, because even if maybe some people think that London everybody's rich in UK, but it's not. So we had the opportunity to go to place like that with capoeira. And then when I came back, my idea was first to set up and like get my jobs going, because unfortunately we need money to be able to live and eat and paying bills and stuff. But I always had in mind that somewhere I have to do my class. And then Vila Dias is nearby, and I think Lohane took part in a project there. And I said, Lohane, I always think about teaching some capoeira there. Do you know anybody, someone there? And then she introduced me to Peão, who is a community leadership there. And I got to see another people that are like working hard to give opportunity to everyone. And then I had a chat with Peão, and then he invited him to teach there. And like the next year, we put the block there, and we felt really welcome. Even if it's still like doing workshops there, music workshop, capoeira workshop, it's still some limitation. People from outside and people from there, but slowly we are connecting everyone. That's the target. That's the goal. But we are achieving it. So that's how I started teaching there. And then I did another classes in social project in, how is that called? Venda Nova, which is quite far from here, but it was a pleasure to go there because he was like older kids, like 16, 17, and they really like capoeira and drumming and stuff. So that's the idea, man. I think my dream is to have everybody together, everybody respect each other, everybody with similar opportunities to be able to learn or to choose what direction I'm going to take with life. So I think for us, capoeiristas and people who are connected to the popular culture, especially with African and indigenous or native Brazilian roots, that's our, I don't know, I don't like the word obligation, but like I believe that we must try doing some social projects with those art forms.
For sure. Well, you're here with us talking on the channel for a Capoeira Social Project. That's basically how we came about too, and how everybody that I've talked to so far on this series has been like-minded in that way as well. For that very same reason, there's a lot to give, and not talking about money here. About information, about education to help maybe in the future, to help somebody do something with their life, perhaps, which is why I've right now been working on trying to develop we had to rebrand our organization, Pedro, because a lot of people aren't always familiar with what capoeira is, or might not necessarily want to donate to a martial art right? Because you think martial art, you see MMA. Oh man, why are we going to give money to kids so they can kick each other in the face? And then don't realize, well, there's music, and then there's making the instruments. There's a shekere behind me, so there's art into visual arts, making things with your hands that you can then play with your hands as well, which is really what I'm super excited to hopefully get started this fall. Is a whole program around being able to do that, to share these skills with kids. And I'm going to put your YouTube channel on blast again in a second. But first, I need to take the opportunity to say, awesome, thanks 2 times so far in my journeys here in Brazil. You've given me the opportunity to, this is from when I taught a workshop on how to make kashishis from recycled materials, right? We had these plastic strips that we had to painstakingly take apart into even smaller strips, so then we could then make kashishis. Let me see if I also have the actual picture of the kashishi someplace.
Hey, I have one here from that day. Hold on.
Let's see. Because some of them were pretty, some of them were not so great.
Man, the first kashi I made taught by you.
Yeah, awesome. So yeah, that was my first I mean, you gave me that opportunity to teach that workshop, which was awesome. We had a stellar turnout. I think it was you, and then that was Flavia, right? And I think Eloisa showed up later. So it wasn't a ton of people, but it was some people. And then let me see here. So I bring that up because this part of that whole Edital series as well, and I'm not going to play it, but it was really nice to see. It was cool to see this video with you and your partner from your atelier, right? Oops, I meant to put that up. Percussion atelier, because I taught kashishis, and then here you guys have this nice video which requires a lot of not a lot of tools, but you have to have the certain tools to be able to, go through and make panderos.
Pandeiro.
So I sent that to my dad, and I was like, hey, here's, because my dad has a bunch of tools in the workshop. He actually helped me make some panderos like this the last time I was home, because we found a piece of PVC, probably like half a meter.
Nice.
Right, so you can cut the PVC down and then use the bottle caps, and then I used an X-ray. Nice. Back in the States, this one actually has couro, leather, but back in the States, I used X-rays to make the plastic. So I was like, "Here's how you make the real ones." So my dad really liked that video. He didn't understand what you guys were saying, but that's a cool little video. So I'm just kind of curious as to how did that come about. Not the video, but starting your OCO percussion instrument company.
Actually, Leo had the OCO, which called OCO Percussion. He started that a few years ago, the guy that was in the video with me. And I started making instruments from capoeira, berimbau, and then from coco I learned how to make a ganzá shaker with Mestre Juarez in Olinda. And then I had a small experience. When my daughter was born, we lived for a few months in Serra do Cipó. And with Dani and Fábio Feriado, we made lots of instruments guided by Fábio, because he had experience already. So we started learning how to make alfaias and pandeiro and stuff. And I was teaching at Leo's house called Casa Verde, where every Friday I was teaching a percussion class there. And we would be talking about drums, about percussion, about making it. And before the Carnaval 2020, we had a big demand of instruments. And we saw that if we did it together, Leo, Vadinho, and I, we would be able to do it nicer and learn with each other. So that's how the partnership started. I had a partnership with Vadim. We had like a name, like a improvised name, like Instrumentos da Gente, getting some lift from Coco da Gente. But
Okay.
and then and now we rented a place. Unfortunately, right before the pandemic,
Right.
we rented a shop where we do our workshop nowadays. But it's nice. We're managing to survive, and that's it.
So I have one more topic for you. Thank you for that. Sorry. I know. I bring that up because from right when you first started, like you said, working with Danny, we've had several of those instruments that we've brought back and have used for present. Actually, you know what? I'm going to show your share instruments at work. Okay. Because I've taken these instruments to the U.S. and there's people in Pennsylvania. I don't know how familiar you are with American geography, but there's people in Pennsylvania, Baltimore, and I think even in Virginia who have your panderos.
Nice one.
So is this the one? Yeah. Okay. So I'll show you this one real quick, just because it's a fun video and it's the one of the first very colorful ones that you guys were producing. I think Lydia's dad painted it.
Vadim.
Right. Vadim. Sorry, it was in a different folder. Let's see if this is it. Yeah. This is us at a music festival, just kind of jamming. This guy here with this Heco style instrument, he just showed up. The other two guys with me, with the Mestre Mao and the little atabaki, they came with me. This other guy just showed up and started jamming. So yeah, and I just picked up some ganzas. That's
Cool.
weird to say. Ganzas from you, and well, we have some other stuff going on with the instruments. Oh, and you also hooked us up with Valtão. Unfortunately, he has passed, but he was also in Bloco Coco de Gente. He was our triangle man. So the last thing I wanted to ask you about, we've talked a little bit about him. I know. Strangely, since I went up to Olinda in 2019, I've been added to an Olinda culture WhatsApp group with only Brazilians from Olinda who live there. Just me and Capoeira and Coco people, but I stay in it because they pass along some cultural information. Let me know, and from that is when I let you know that Mestre Pacheco had a surgery recently, and to see how he was. But my question, I guess, for you, and here's because we haven't showed him, and the only pictures I have of him with you are terrible quality. But here's a picture of you in Coco da Gente, probably at the very beginning, playing together at Barracão, right, where you teach. And Santa Tereza. Okay. That's that one. But then the other picture, and it's a little bit clearer, which is why I wanted to show it to you. Let's see here. We're gonna end on this positive note here, if I can find it. Of course now. Oh, here we go. Aptly titled Us with Pacheco. So boom, boom, boom. Okay, so I have to have my Maryland pants on. I was talking with Mestre Ferradura about that Always wearing my
Pacheco.
My Maryland pants. But here we go. We have Mestre Pacheco here. This was after he taught a couple oficinas, some workshops down at Vivencias. I think this was after the Roda, where he like graduated you as contramestre.
Yeah.
Right.
Was that day.
So it was actually probably about 10 minutes before this picture was taken. So just curious, what was that experience like? I mean, both things. Having Mestre Pacheco, who you met in Europe, then you went to Olinda and trained with him some more and met other people from the Coco community. And then finally he was here in Belo Horizonte. And so he was able to teach your students Coco and then and some capoeira, and then also give you, like graduate you to the title that you were deserving, I should say. How was that whole experience for you?
It was fantastic to have Mestre Pacheco over, and just made me feel like we have to do more of that. We have to invite him more, and now with his. You told me about his being in hospital and surgery. I've been trying to call him since you told me that, and no luck to speak to him yet, but hopefully everything's okay. But it was so nice to spend time with him again, because we talk often on the phone or send each other message, but having him here, and like it was like how I had some, in Portuguese, frio na barriga. I think a butterfly in the stomach, something like that.
Butterfly.
I didn't know how. Yeah, I didn't know what Pacheco would think about the Coco here. He liked Coco da gente because I showed him videos, but like the Carnaval block and like all of that, and with the capoeira, like seeing what, like you play capoeira without uniform and all of these things. It was like I didn't know how he would react. And he liked everything, man. He liked the capoeira people from here. He liked the Coco a lot. He did lots of compliments. He said you're on the right way and stuff. So it was really important, like, because what we do here, we have the kind of bless from the elders, from the mestres and mestres, the old masters. But having him here, the guy who taught me, come and, as you say, taught people that I taught, and got to see what we're doing here with Coco, and like he approved everything. So that was great. And he doesn't like much, even if he's like have a serious appearance, he doesn't like being master.
Right.
No. He's like of course, with all respect, but we like brothers as well. We tease each other, we play jokes, we laugh with each other and stuff. So it was fantastic, man. And about the graduation thing, I was happy with his like recognizing my work here, but like didn't change much of what we were doing. Like still the same,
Right.
still the same person, the same classes. It was nice this way to like have this, to see that my master, one of my masters, my Coco master and one of my capoeira masters approve what I'm doing here and trusted me to graduate me with this title of contramestre. So the whole thing was positive, and I hope to have him here over again, because I think it was easier, man, in London to have the masters, because there we would get the community together and do stuff. And here, this long time we've been here, we brought Mestre Ivan a few times in partnership with the guys from Terreiro, Marelo, Cabaça. Mestre Lua came there as well. Mestre Russo came home. Mestre Mao a few times. Pacheco once, but I think we should make an effort for when this thing finish and we are able to travel again, to bring more often the masters. there are a few that I want to bring first, like Mestre Zeza do Coco, Seu Damião, Seu Assis do Raiz de Arco Verde, Pacheco again. Like, yeah, let's make it happen.
Or also, that is a good idea. I'm not against that idea, but another good idea is to organize another Bebê na Fonte, right? Another drinking from the spring and going there. Because unfortunately, not unfortunately, when I went, you helped me get in contact with Mr. Pacheco, and I was able to talk with him. I went up for, I think it was only like 8 days because I had a week off from work. So that wasn't a lot of time to be able to go there. And I was too green. I would say green, not maduro, right? We'll say green. Like I didn't do any real prep to just try to see about going to talk to other people, right? And I discovered like Mestre Galo Preto was right in Recife, and I didn't even know of him before I went. I just found his disc and I listened to it, and I was like, wow, that's awesome. Now I find out he's the uncle of a guy who I've known from Oficina for like 15 years. So it's like, man, I wish I had done my homework before going. So I'd really like to go back again with some time, and you really get to talk to people. I mean, it was already a rather overwhelming experience anyway. Olinda, Recife, Portuguese, it's a little bit different. Place I'd never been to. So getting to discover the area and the region was nice, but I really need to spend more time there and talk to more of the people. So we should go. And that's a plan I'm working on with the writing grants and stuff like that, trying to see routes where we can get funding. We've even been talking with my partners to trying to make a documentary, possibly even with English subtitles, well produced, because there's nothing. Arco Verde, they have a nice DVD actually of a live concert, and then they talk to some of the community. But it seems like that's something that we could really make a nice effort to produce, since I have English and a nice hold on Portuguese. You know the community. You have a nice hold on English, and obviously you speak pretty good Portuguese too. So it'd be something that could be well produced. And at least in the community we know, I think it would be well received. But anyway, nice. That could be a topic for another day, man. It's cool. 8:30 our time, 7:30 East Coast time. So I think there's a bunch of other things we could talk about, but I'm going to say the same thing that I said for Mestre High and for Amarelo, and that's all the other topics people can find out by coming to a workshop with you in the next year or so when you come to Baltimore. I think that's the real plan.
Nice one, Siri.
Okay, so thanks for being here.
If anybody, and like one of the good things in the pandemic as well is like this connection worldwide. Like, so if anybody wants to take classes like Coco, percussion, or anything like that, it's much easier now. Can do class on Google Meet and Zoom and stuff. But I'm looking forward to being in Baltimore with the guys there.
Speaking about that, that's a good plug. I didn't talk about it at all today. I forgot. But all of your contact information, I think your Facebook and your Facebook and Instagram. That's the one. Are in the description on YouTube and on Facebook if anybody would like to contact you in regards, because like you're right, we've been doing percussion classes on Friday nights through Meet, and it's been excellent. Pandeiro, Atabaki, you got Zabumba, all kinds of stuff going on. So reach out to them. Thank you for being here, Pedro.
Thanks so much for Siriguejo.
It was a pleasure.
It was a pleasure, man.
So thank you, everybody who stuck it out. Thanks for coming. Links are in the description of the videos here. And keep your eye out for in the next couple weeks when we make the list for part 2 of the people we're going to talk to in our conversation series. Okay? Até mais. Ciao.